Good morning, crocheters. Today I have a tale for you, which is kind of a hint as to what I'm going to show you today. So for this tale, we're going to back up a little bit and kind of go into like where I was when I was planning this, or like first having this idea of this week of pattern releases after my birthday. So I was laying there thinking, like, all right, I've got the rabbit pattern. That one's tested, that one's ready to go. What else can I do? Like, I want to do something exciting. And so what popped into my mind was, well, you've got the unicorn hobby horse. Like, that's already been designed. You've got the crochet along out. You're kind of dabbling on the pattern when you have, a spare moment and you remember. Why don't you just like hardcore focus on that, get it done, get it tested, and release it? And I was like, oh my gosh, brilliant. That would be so great. And then, like the immediate follow-up to that one was, oh, and what about the otter pattern? I designed it last year, like right before I left for a family reunion. So it was like July, maybe beginning of July, end of June, something like that. And I'd made it, I took all the pictures, and I just never finished the pattern. Because I don't know, sometimes I'm lazy and I just didn't. That's really all I can say, is that I didn't. And so once again, the thought was like, all right, just like you've got everything for it, just put the pattern together. Like at this point in my life, in my career as a amigurumi designer, I'm so much better, more efficient, and faster at putting together patterns than I was last year. Just the repetition of doing it. I understand like more how things should go together, how to make the pattern a little bit more comprehensive and understandable as you're going throughout it. And so I was like, oh, awesome. Like I'll just like hit this one hard, get it done. So I did that, and then I was like, all right, well, what else could I do? Like I'm really excited about those three. And I could do like one every other day and maybe do some other sort of a sale, or are there any other patterns I could put out? Because it would be so fun to do a bunch of patterns. And then I remembered, I was like, oh yeah, what about that one pattern that I mentioned that one time that I would do that I haven't done yet? And so I decided like, yes, I'm going to do that one. So this, like me deciding this, planning this, coincided with my husband going on a camping trip. So Rachel went to sleep that night, like 9 o'clock, and I crocheted straight for 3 hours. And I made this entire project in 3 hours, except for the horn. Like I got the tail sewn on, I got the other parts I'm not going to say yet, I got the eyes sewn on, I got the eyelashes on. Like I had the entire thing done. I'd taken all of the pictures that I was going to need for the pattern. I'd gotten everything done except for the horn. And it was like midnight, 12:30, and I was starting on the horn, and my brain was like, you're going to bed right now. So I was like, all right, I own, like, the horn is the very last piece. I will do that tomorrow morning. It'll be fine. Well, of course, because I stayed up late, I slept in. And so then it was just me being like, a single mom for a day. And it took me, I think, 6 hours to finally get that horn done. Because, anytime I'd sit down to crochet, Rachel would be like, mom, 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 which makes me so grateful for my husband. So grateful that he takes her so much in the evening so I can work on my crocheting. And also, like when that wasn't happening, when she was down for her nap, I tried like 4 or 5 different variations of the horn and ended up just sticking with a classic, like horn. But you know, I had to try them all out. Anyway, it took a ridiculous amount of time, but I did finally figure it out. I finished it, got it tested by some absolutely lovely testers. I will give them a shout out right now before I forget. So the people who tested the upcoming pattern I'm going to show you were April Gratz, Kim at the Blue Cherub, I'll put a link down, and then Joyce at Joyceful Creations on Instagram. So I will share their links below because they were the lovely ladies who tested dun, 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 Wendy Narwhal. Isn't she cute? So clearly this one is very, very similar to the whale pattern. Yes. So back when I mentioned the narwhal idea the very first time, I was talking about the whale and saying, you know, I want to make a pattern variation of this and make a narwhal. And in the pattern variation, I would add the little fins and the horn and, you know, obviously take off the whale spout. And so that's what I went ahead and did. And that's why I was able to, you know, make the entire thing in 3 hours, was because I was following the pattern for the whale. So there are a couple of variations, the obvious one being the horn and the fins. But then on this one, I did something a little bit different with the tail, which, I mean, you could decide to follow this pattern for the tail if you wanted. On this one, I joined a couple of the rows back here in the back with some a little bit farther up. And what that does is it gives it that, you know, that flick to it instead of just being a perfectly straight and flat tail. And on the narwhal, what I did was I just did a couple of slip stitch rows at the top to give it a little bit of that kink. And my pattern, sorry, the ladies who tested the patterns kind of came back with varying results on that. Some were like, yeah, that worked really well. And others were like, it didn't do as much as, you know, as it did when I was making it. So that's kind of a preference thing. So the plan for Wendy Narwhal is going to be that in the future, she will be bundled with the whale pattern, and the bundle will be sold for $7. Because right now the whale is sold for $5 by itself, so we'll add this in for the extra $2. So the sale we're going to do today, though, it's going to be the only time, I guess this week will be the only time when Wendy is available by herself. Herself, not herself. I don't know why that came out so weird. But I'm going to sell the pattern for Wendy, for $2. That way, because I didn't feel right in my heart for people who have already bought the whale pattern to then have to like buy another $5 pattern and end up spending $10 when like most people who are going to buy them together will pay $7. So if you've already bought, you know, I just call it the whale, unless it's on Ravelry, then I think I called it Jonah the Whale. After my friend's son, who I made the very first whale for. His name's Jonah. So, yeah, we'll keep calling him Jonah for now. So if you bought the whale or Jonah, then you'll be able to get Wendy for $2 and, you know, kind of meet that pattern bundle price that they will be in the future. And if you never bought Jonah the Whale and you just want to buy Wendy Narwhal, well, this is the best time to do it because you're going to be able to get it for a steal of a deal. So that's what we're going to do. And this one, once again, is going to go up noon Central Time and will come down noon Central Time tomorrow when I announce the next pattern. So that's the excitement for today. I'm so excited to share this one because, you know, all the other ones, and the ones that have come out so far, you know, people have seen them before, like especially if you've been hanging around my channel for a while, which I know a lot of you are new. We hit 4,000 subscribers a couple days ago, And that was super exciting. And where at the beginning of this year I was at like 1,000, like that's some pretty decent growth. So a lot of new people here, definitely. But yeah, if you've been around, if you've watched old videos, like you've seen all of the other ones I've talked about, and this is the very first time you guys will ever see Wendy Narwhal. So I was really excited about that, and I'm also excited for tomorrow because I think it will bring a lot of joy, the one I'm going to share tomorrow. I'm trying to, go out with a bang, so end on the most exciting one, hopefully. Anyhow, that is it for today. I will talk to you guys in the comments, and I'll talk to you tomorrow for the next pattern release.